Now, before I start this video, I know I look a little weird. I'm doing this through really bad lighting, and this is just for the top of my head. These headphones tear into the top of my head, so I had to put this on. So I'm putting that out there. Now, also before we start this video, I'm gonna lay something out. Okay, I've been playing this game since the alpha and the beta, so I've been playing all these characters on this roster, and I know all these characters all during their states and stuff like that. I didn't get very good in For Honor until about like a year or two into it. So, but I do have of its entirety, of the entire experience of For Honor. I do know how these characters function. I do know what they're good at, what they're not good at. And this also goes for the maps. What maps are good? I don't know much about perks, except for the perks that I know that are broken on certain characters. Obviously, I just go to the For Honor forums and go to the Reddit and figure out which ones are the best ones. But today I'm going to be talking about For Honor as a whole and how divisive it is between PC and console and just overall the player base, and just not having a solidified opinion that we all can agree on to give the devs and stuff like that like a concrete representation of what's wrong with For Honor. The first thing briefly I'm going to go over, I believe that the punishes in For Honor are too high. They reward simple mistakes. I'm not a fan of a simple mistake equals a lot of damage. Most fighting games fix this. Most of them, not all of them. Most competitive fighting games, they don't have egregious damage, and usually if they do have egregious damage, usually it's addressed or it's adjusted. But in For Honor, it's not. We have 120 health to 150 health for most characters, and I believe some characters have 130, 140 for stamina. That's usually Centurion or Gladiator. I do believe our Musha has a pretty big stamina pool, but I can't put my finger on it. But I know that when you saw Faint and do his chain, he just doesn't use a lot of stamina. But so core issues of For Honor are the feats, the stamina, the health pool, the damages, character balances, and maps. So we're going to start off with just the characters, and then I'll also go over the character-specific feats that I don't like afterwards. If there are any feats or perks that I have a problem with or are actually a part of the character's kit. Let me take my glasses off so you don't see a reflection of my eyes. But we're going to start with Warden. Warden is the poster boy For Honor. He's he's a poster boy. Problems that Warden pretty much create. The simplest of things is I believe his crushing counter from the top, that's from the light. That pretty much is 55 damage. It's got to be reduced. It's really, really, really high in the damage department. I don't agree with it. It's a little yikes when it lands, especially when you delete half a player's health pool from it. I do believe that his fully charged shoulder bash confirming 40 damage is a little gnarly, especially if you happen to be like in a 2v1 and the person doesn't have any revenge gain or is about to get revenge gain, and you fully charge the bash and land it, and then the staggers are long enough to get another ally heavy if they time it correctly. It's a little crazy. I don't really agree with it. I think the side heavy is fine. It's 30 damage. I don't think I think it's 30 or 35, but it's not as egregious as the top heavy. I think the top heavy is a little in the overtuned department, along with the crushing counter for his top. And I think the backward shoulder bash is a little bit of a problem too. It allows him to cancel his back dodge recovery, and on top of that, it allows him to be a little bit safe from GB from that as well, if he decides to release it. It's kind of a guessing game if he back dodges what he's going to actually do. He can back dodge guard break, he can back dodge shoulder bash, he can back dodge fully charged shoulder bash, he can back dodge zone, back dodge heavy, back dodge light. So he has a lot of answers out of back dodge that, after the universal change for back dodges, it kind of creates a problem. Him and Shaman share the same thing, being able to back dodge into a bash, but I don't believe Shaman's is as problematic as Warden's, because it can be dealt with, and it's a lot easier to punish a Shaman than it is to punish a Warden. That's all I really have to say about Warden. His feats really don't stand out much to me except for Thick Blood. I don't think Thick Blood deserves to be in this game. It just negates certain characters like the Bushi Shaman, some bleed deflects like Valkyries and Shinobis, you know, etc., etc. We got PK next. I think PK. I think the latest buff did get her a little bit more powerful, but not in a state where I feel like I'd pick her over Shaman or pick her over like a character like Berserker. I just think Berserker and Shaman are just the best assassin heroes if you want to go for assassin heroes. I mean, Gladiator is sometimes a good decision, but I still would pick Berserker or Shaman over it because of just the ability to you know they're more viable, I would say, in fours and twos. They just do their jobs better and they reward people better. For PK, there's really nothing problematic about her. I mean, they nerfed her zone. It used to be egregious in its early days, but nothing like what it is now. It doesn't even stand to the power level that it used to be. Um, I do wish that she had something to force a reaction in fours. That'd be nice because in ones she's all right. I mean, she can apply some pressure, but a lot of her chains can be blocked, and a lot of her mix-ups are kind of just they're reactable. You can block them, you can deal with them. You really can't. I mean, against a good opponent, they're not really going to fall for a PK unless you know how to delay a lot of your attacks or just utilize her kit effectively. But even then, you can struggle against someone who's like using a Black Prior or a Warden or someone who's actually a better character overall. I would like to see her have something that's interesting for fours and more dynamic. Um, G-Man, you mute me because I'm like doing a video. And then next we have Centurion. Centurion is he's an interesting one. He's obviously getting a rework, but what I would like to see out of the rework is his ground punish not to guarantee a death, and that he can't infinite someone to death, or I would say mostly his feats are a little bit stupid. I would say his Pugio is really dumb because in a current live version of the game, Centurion is not that great in the offensive department, but his defense is severely overtuned. Even without a wall, if you have a coordinated team in force and you know how to deal with opening up opponents correctly, especially with superior blocks and such like that, Centurion is a monster. He pretty much, if he gets that pin on you and you don't have a reliable teammate nearby, you're dead. And that, I mean, I'm not saying that in a 1v1 scenario he's not going to kill you, but I will say in a 1vx situation where Centurion is the one that's ganking you with another person, it's guaranteed that you're going to die if he does land that pin. And I'm a big believer that just because a character is weak, it doesn't mean that the problematic portions of their kit should still be in the game. Now, do I think this character should be like nerfed or is he OP? No, I don't think that at all. But I do think it's a little BS about the current state that his pin is in and the current state that his Eagle's Talon is in. It's a little crazy, especially when every now and then I might get caught by one Centurion, and it's usually a rep 70 or really high Centurion that they just delete my health bar if I just do the wrong mistake. Hopefully in his rework he's way more enjoyable to fight and way more enjoyable to play. But we'll see. I'll probably come back to this when he gets this rework. Black Prior is the next character. Solid character overall. Ones, twos, fours, he can do it. He has an answer to it. He's effective. Do I believe that he has a lot of utility? Yes. I believe out of all the heavies in this game, he's just really, really good. I don't see a reason if I were to go into a competitive environment why I would not pick Black Prior. He can gank, he can anti-gank, he can 1vx, he can 1v4, he can gank, anti-gank. His feats are fantastic. They don't just benefit him, they benefit his teammates. He's just a very, very good character. The only problem I have with Black Prior is I would have to say his bash. I mean, yes, I can dodge it. It's not very hard to dodge. It's just the fact that I can't really punish someone who is utilizing that bash a lot. Um, and then I would say his zone is a little stupid because him and Gladiator share the same kind of thing. Their first part of their zone is unblockable. So baiting out an option select with that is kind of hard when you can't parry the zone that's coming out. And if they decide that the option select didn't work, they can cancel it. And there's no risk to them for option selecting it constantly. Whereas other characters, they abide by that rule. If you option select too much, it can be punished consistently. Whereas Black Prior and Gladiator, they don't share that sentiment. They don't get punished for utilizing their zone a lot. I would like to see his Oathbreaker adjusted. I don't think it should completely remove shields. Maybe 50% reduction on shields. So instead of getting a full shield, you maybe get half of that shield. That would feel a little bit more fair in that sense, because nothing's more annoying than you're getting your revenge and you're going against, let's say, a team that isn't that good, and they're wailing on you, and then he pops Oathbreaker, and then now you have to go back into being super defensive because he removes your shield gain. And I know a lot of people say, oh, the counter to that is just waiting. Waiting in this game can be good, like if you're a good staller. Like I can stall for a very long time, but it doesn't change the fact that I'd like to use my revenge if I have it. I don't like it being completely just revoked from usage. It's just there's no point in using it. Those are the only gripes I have about Black Prior. Besides that, he's a very solid character. I don't really have much problems with him. He's fun to fight sometimes, unless the person's an asshole with him, but I digress. Now we have Conqueror. Conqueror is another interesting character. I think he has only one good offensive tool, and that's his bash. But other than that, his defense is severely overtuned. I know they did recently nerf one of his option selects, which was his heavies. But it doesn't stop that his zone, his light, and his bash, and his all guard are very good option selects. I would like to see one of those toned down, preferably the all guard to be punished more, because the all guard is definitely annoying to deal with. It's hard to punish sometimes, especially with a good conqueror knows his option selects. It's very, very difficult to deal with him sometimes. His bash is not that big of a deal. I believe that if you early dodge it, it's a free GB. I know the chain bash, if he doesn't follow it up, I think that's a GB, but I would like to see if they nerf his option selects in his defense. I would like to see him offensively be more unique and useful, because right now his offense does lack a lot. And a lot of people will parry a lot of your chains, so you're constantly set back to neutral, and you rely on your option selects a lot. So, if I would like to see his defense adjusted, but his offense balance that. So 50-50 on that. I would like to see both be effective, but not in the current state that his defense is. But I would like to see his offense kind of brought up to par a little bit, so that way he isn't just the option select king, I would say. Lawbringer is my main. I've been playing this guy since day one. I love this character, but I also hate this character. I remember the days where Lawbringer was just annoying to play against, and that's about it. That's all the thing I remember about Lawbringer. He was just annoying. The whole block shove, that was really annoying, but if you saw the light, you blocked it, but if you saw the heavy, you dodged it or parried it. He really didn't have anything to do anything. But today, he's a solid pick. He's a little too good. He can gank. He can stall out his ass. I've anti-ganked with him a few times, but I wouldn't say that's his go-to strat. But he is a fantastic staller, and he will punish you harshly for attacking him. And I'm not a fan of super defensive characters, even though I do play one of the best defensive characters. And when I say the best, I'm not saying they are the best. I'm saying in general they're better than most characters. So I'm going to put that out there. I would say that I would like to see him have all chains, and his hyper armor removed on bash. The bash sped up, and I'd leave him at like that, because if he has more chains he can do, and his bash would be nerfed, he wouldn't be as annoying and as harsh punishing as he currently is. I would like to see some of his defensive stuff reduced as well. Maybe only confirm a light after the, so when he pairs you, or he pairs a light or a heavy, if you're near a wall, he pokes you, throws you against the wall. Now, I don't know all the names on the moves, I just know what they do. But, he takes you, puts you against the wall, confirms the top heavy allies there, they can get their damage in too. You can kind of vortex somebody if you're good enough. But, I kind of don't agree with that. I think it should confirm a light so that if you throw someone against the wall, your ally should be able to it should be a move that you should punish with teammates. But a lot of people have their opinions about Lawbringer, but I do think that his defense needs to be adjusted because it currently at the live game right now, he's pretty good. They removed Raider's stunning tap, but they kept Lawbringer's parry. Little, when he kind of gives you a nice little in the face, that stuns you, and then he goes into his light chain and back into his mix-ups. Well, my bad, his light, which is his starter, then goes back into his mix-ups. I mean, it seems like only his heavies have a lot of utility. His heavies can have a lot of mix-up value, heavy into bash, heavy into light, heavy into heavy, heavy into feint. Hell, even his zone, which is weird. He has a 4 chain. If you throw his zone, you can go straight into light, heavy, heavy, or light, heavy unblockable. It's kind of crazy. I do think his defense needs to be toned down a bit. I would like to see his offense, or just his more chains, just to compensate for that. His damage is a little gnarly too. I don't really think that he should be able to parry a light, confirm an unblockable, then follow it up and go straight into another mix-up. I think that's a little too powerful. I think if you get the parry, you should land it back to neutral. I'm content with that. I just think right now he just has a lot of stuff going in the defense department that needs to be looked at. And his offense needs to be adjusted because he doesn't have very good offense. Because if you throw a light, a heavy's coming after it. If he throws a heavy, a light's coming after it, or a heavy. I mean, the only mix-up. My bad. I'll retract that statement. The heavies he has a lot of options out of heavies, but when he starts with a light, he doesn't have many options. It's usually light heavy, or light heavy feint, light heavy feint light. He doesn't have a lot of stuff at the starting of his light, but I guess that's why they made him that way, but I just don't agree with it. I like having variety. I like being able to throw something different in there, but I overstayed my welcome with him, but you get the point. Then we got Gladiator. Good old Glad. Mars Octuba. I really don't have much of a problem with Glad. I would say that I would like to see his skewer be more of a mix-up, because right now his skewer is just kind of it's not that great. But in the compensation of them buffing his skewer, I do want to see his deflect punishes reduce, because as of right now, he can punish you pretty harshly depending on the scenario you're in. So if I deflect you near a wall, I can throw you into the wall from the top heavy, and now you have to guess if I'm going to throw a heavy, I'm going to throw a light, I'm going to throw a zone after that, toe stab. He's pretty good with his deflects. I think out of all the characters in the game, his deflects, they provide a lot of variety, at least in my opinion, because when I use Gladiator, I catch myself deflecting and just punishing people. Especially when you learn to land the really big punish, the 110 damage punish with a Gladiator. I can't do that effectively, but the times I've done it, I wouldn't blame people for deleting their game after I do it to them, because I've done it a few times. And it's not fun on the receiving end. It's fun to do it, but it's not fun to receive that type of damage for a simple mistake. But that's a niche. I mean, obviously not everyone's over here landing 110 punishes, or we would have a really big problem. But I do think his toe stab can be quite annoying. It reminds me a lot of Yorm. But I think he's a better Yorm. Now, I'm not saying Yorm's bad, but I'm not saying Yorm's good either, but I'm just saying he does what Yorm should do a lot better. Because his toe stab is just really, really good, in my opinion. If people are scared of it. Especially if, there's other teammates nearby. But other than that, I think his zone needs to be adjusted. I think the first part should be the hit, and then if you wanted the hit should confirm the stamina damage. I'm not a fan of unblockable zones, because then I can't effectively punish that, especially since if I dodge the zone, I can't punish him. At least from I've never done it. Most of the time when I do it, it's a dodge attack, or the person's just not paying attention, but a good Gladiator won't let you punish the zone, unless you're like a Black Friar. But that's what I have to say about Gladiator. Raider is an unpopular opinion, but I feel like after his stunning tap was removed, he is garbage. He's to me is a glorified Orochi with a unblockable zone. He can be blocked, externally option selected. I mean, he has hyper armor, and he has like soft feints out of his heavies, which is a GB, or he can do a light. But you know it's coming. It's not very hard to see it coming. I would say he's got a good. Stampede is good. It's great for teens, but that's about it that I think he has going for him is his zone and his feats. That's about it. But I would like to see this character get a stunning tap back. If they do give it back, I would like the refresh rate to be on a timer, so he can't just spam it over and over again. Like hell, even make it a feat. That'd be a great addition for Raider. Take his first tier feat away, or one of his useless first tier feats away, and I don't know, put it on like every 6-7 seconds he gets a stunning tap, like blinding effect. Kind of similar like how Orochi has Ki, but not as annoying as Ki. But it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see this character get something because currently, right now, he just doesn't. He's just really easy to deal with. That stunning tap really made this character when it came out, and the Dodge GB. But after those two things are removed, this, like I said, he's a glorified Orochi. I would like to see this character get some more utility in his kit because right now his kit just. He's got good chains. He's got every chain in the game, but it doesn't like all the chains in the game don't necessarily mean the character's good. It's what they can do in their chains, which his chain doesn't really provide much pressure. I catch myself parrying raiders just waiting for their lights and just parry them because the animation is super telegraphed. So I mean, I just want this character to get some love, definitely in the offense department. And if they do that in the offense department, I'd like to see his zone get reduced maybe because his chain zone does a lot of damage. A lot of damage. I don't agree with a lot of damage for a zone. But, I mean, hopefully the devs will address this. Berserker, I can't really say much for Berserker except that I would like to see his T-Rex arms get buffed because he has no range. But other than that, he's one of the very few characters that can punish people for option selecting a lot because he has hyper armor on his feints. And I catch myself trying to option select the Berserker and then punishing me harshly for it. Because you just can't option select him sometimes because he'll just tank it. Which, I mean, he does his job well. But I would like to see, if there's anything minor, I would like to see his range buffed. Highlander deserves a rework. I just think his defensive stance is useless, but his offensive stance does everything else. His offensive stance can be turtly and offensive at the same time, whereas defensive stance really is just to get into offensive stance. That's it. There's nothing in his defensive stance that's worth using except for his backwards light and his crushing counters, and maybe his Celtic Curse. That it's super telegraphed and it's super slow. So I mean, I've been hit by it. Don't get me wrong, but it's nothing threatening because if he goes into Celtic Curse, he's either going to let the heavy fly or he's going to go into offensive stance. So you just throw a light or you wait for the parry. Really not that hard. He's very matchup dependent, so he can punish a lot of characters that I think his bash characters like Warden and Conquer. I catch myself punishing those type of characters really well because his kick just is really good against bash characters. But any character that I'd say that has really fast lights or really good mix-ups, oh my god, he sucks. He just can't keep up. His lights are too slow. His heavies are too slow. His Celtic Curse isn't. The hyper armor doesn't kick up fast enough for you to trade. His heavy out of Celtic Curse is nowhere threatening unless you decide to dodge it. No one dodges that move because they wait for offensive stance. And I don't know. I would like to see Highlander get a rework because I like this character a lot. I got a lot of reps in him. I have an absolute blast playing this character, but I do not have an absolute blast when I have characters that just absolutely shit on me. They will completely destroy me. But that's all I gotta say about Highlander. Jormungandr is another unpopular opinion. In ones and twos, he's absolute hot garbage. He provides nothing. But in fours, this character is an absolute nightmare. This character is practically unkillable with the right feats. And once he gets his tier 2 and his tier 1, it's just a downhill spiral from that. And then don't even get me started about hard to kill. He's just... I see what they were trying to go with this character, but this character has no place. The last character that was a stamina bully got completely removed, as in like lead pipe to the knees, and you know what I'm talking about, Centurion. But just like Centurion, where Centurion has no offense, but Centurion's defense is super busted, I agree the same way with Jormungandr. He is an exact replica, in my opinion, of Centurion, but just he can do a little bit more than Centurion can. But I just don't agree with the punishes he has. He in his defensive state, he's just not fun. He forces you to turtle. And on top of that, there's nothing fun about having no stamina and not being able to play the game. That's the problem I have with Yorm, is when I fight him, I can't play the game. I have to play his game. And I don't agree that a character should have that much of a presence that I have to change this entire way I play the game just to fight that character. That's not fun. The same thing with Centurion when he came out. No one liked fighting Centurion because if you threw an attack, he was going to fucking hammer you down. It wasn't fun. And Jormungandr shares that same ideology. He's not fun to play against. Now, in ones and twos, he's super easy to deal with. He has, a zone in his forward dodge heavy and his light for really good option selects, and sometimes his bash if you know your timings correctly. But in ones and twos, he lacks it. I mean, he's got 2-hit chains. His unblockable's really slow. He's got good hyper armor in his heavies, but he just forces people to play differently, and it's not fun to play against this character. This character rewards people like myself who played in the early days of For Honor, and I don't agree that defense, especially with blocking being as powerful as it is, this character just doesn't have a place in this game. And I know a lot of people defend this character, which I will defend that his offense is completely garbage. But his defense needs to be addressed, and so does his feats. Especially if you add perks with this character, like Bastion, Vengeful Barrier, Aegis. He just doesn't die. He just does not die. And on top of that, his Bash heals for about 10 HP. And they recently nerfed Shinobi's 4th tier feat being able to heal that much, because he used to heal a lot. But then they gave it to Jormungandr, which didn't really make much sense, especially when it's a tier 1 feat. And Shinobi had to wait till tier 4 to do that. So, either those feats need to get flipped, or it needs to go, because it doesn't really have a place in this game. Especially since it's pretty much Shinobi's tier 4 feat reverted. But in Bash form. And it's but better than that feat by a whole margin. But that's my only gripe with Jormungandr. Warlord is another easier one. I would like to see this character flow more. His All Guard is kind of predictable. I would like to see like multi-direction for his All Guard, so his heavies aren't super predictable. I would like to see his heavy faster, reduce damage, but confirm off of certain attacks. Like if he blocks a move that has long recovery, I think his heavy should be confirmed, but across the cast, so it's consistent, not, very depending on things. I would like to see his All Guard have some, and if anything, I'd like to see his All Guard chain. Like if he throws his heavy, he can go into a light or another heavy. Give him some options, man. Because right now he's just bash, set back to neutral, zone, All Guard, bash, zone, back to neutral. He's really boring. I would like to see him. His damage and all that's fine. It's just that he doesn't flow. He's like Papa neutral. He just always is in neutral, and it's just That's all I gotta say about Warlord. Valkyrie, I think after the recent buffs for her bash, her crushing counter lights are really good. Her deflect is deflect's really good, especially when it confirms lights after the deflect. That's a little crazy. But I would say that her bash is kind of easy to deal with, kind of telegraphed to see it coming. I think her backward square, which is her where she goes into shield, where she hunkers down real quick. Her all guard, I would say. I want her old all guard bat. Her old all guard was amazing. I felt like it was just really good. The fact that you could feint it and bait people to dodge it and then get a GB, it was so much nicer than what it currently is right now. It's there's no use using her all guard unless you want to just create distance. Uh, and then the fact that back then you could block attacks when using the all guard, that's what made it really unique. Was it could launch forward and if someone went to go punch you or hit you or whatever, they the bash would just block it. It made it useful to punish people. Um, and then I would like to see her heavies or her lights out of her bash be able to punish early dodges because currently, as it states, they're not threatening. And her damage, even though they buffed it, is still not threatening. The only thing really threatening is her sweep when it lands. But her sweep is also super telegraphed. You know when a Valkyrie goes light light or heavy light or heavy heavy, and you see that pause, you know they're going for the sweep. There's just too much time in between the animation of the sweep for the person to have too much time to actually guess. Like, there's no reason to respect the sweep because you can react to the sweep. I would like to either to be sped up, the damage reduced, or however they like to address it. But I would like to see her just get, have a little more utensil than she currently has. Her sweep also knocks down teammates, so sometimes it's more of a nuisance to have a Valkyrie on your team because she just ends up getting everyone else on the enemy team free damage to your team if she's not utilizing her sweep correctly. But I do like the fact that they buffed it a bit by allowing her not to get a free GB off the sweep. But at the same time, I feel like if they did it, they did that, they should have reduced the damage because it is 35. I think 30 is a reasonable number there, but I don't think 35 is a reasonable number, especially when you have Deadly on. It can, especially in Revenge with Deadly, man, you're looking at that's a lot of damage you're about to get hit with. I'm only speaking for fours, not in ones. And in ones, she can be answered. You block top, react to sides. You wait for the stutter for the shield sweep, and you punish her. And then her all guard really isn't worth a damn either. The only thing she really has going for her was her crushing counters, her bash when it lands, and if people are stupid enough to dodge early, they get hit by the stuff. But that's few and far between. But I like to see her get some love. Shaman, the only thing I have to say about Shaman, because she's super quick, she's really good all around. Can do everything, ones, twos, fours. I would like to see her bite reduced. That's it. And I would like to see that if she can't get a zone off of, well, I wouldn't say that. I would say the fact that she gets 25 damage off of parries is kind of, I don't agree with that. Because, yeah, her double light's weak, but the fact that when I parry people, I just zone, that's 25 damage. So if I land that twice, you already ate 50 damage. And then if I land a bleed off the top of that, and I land that bleed, well, guess what? Now you lost 100 damage. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But that's the only thing I have to gripe about. Her zone, confirming off of parries, too much damage. And her bite being a little too much damage. But that's about it for Shaman. Kensei, I would like to see his top heavy be more useful. I would like it to have more pressure. Maybe make the top heavy unblockable, so that way people have to guess it. I think that would be a great addition for Kensei because the rest of his kit's fine. He does his job. He doesn't excel in one area, and he isn't bad in another area. I think he rewards deeper chain usage. So the longer you get into his chains, the further you get into his chains, he gets kind of scary. But his zone is good. His dodge attack is good if used correctly. Great iframes, but I do think that his top heavy just doesn't. It's not scary. It's a very long telegraph animation, so you can deal with it. I would like to see that kind of change to be a little bit more viable, and give him a true opener, so that he can actually get his opponent to react. Because most of the time, you can just block anything Kensei does, unless he does the unblockable, and unless he goes the heavy soft feint into if he does the unblockable and he soft feints into his heavy or his light, I mean, yeah, he gets hyper armor, but if you saw things into his heavy, it's so long, you can see it coming. Um, those are the only gripes I have about Kensei, but we'll move on. Orochi, all I'm going to say about this character is rework. Faster is not better. I'm not even going to waste time with this character. Same thing with Shinobi. Rework. They gave this character lead pipe. This character is completely borderline useless to use anymore. There's no point in using this character. I'd rather use Shaman or Berserker, like I stated before. Back then, before he was, in his really good state, I'd definitely say pick Shinobi over any other assassin in this game. But right now, I wouldn't pick this character if it was the only character I had in my roster. I would delete the game. This character is completely butchered. Whatever they did to this character in these nerfs with his option selects and his double dodge, now he can no longer quadruple dodge, which is that was fun to do. It gave me some opportunity to scare my opponent. It was fun to kind of all around the opponent to see what they were going to do, but I don't know, man. This character needs a rework. Hidekori, she's pretty quick. Fix the hitboxes on the kicks, because sometimes they're inconsistent. Because sometimes I'll dodge the kick and I'll still get hit by the kick because her leg is in a different direction than when I dodge. Even though I dodged the correct timing for the kick, I don't agree that a kick should have a 50-50 on top of a 50-50. Because if I have to note the direction of the kick and dodge the kick correctly at the same time, it's kind of dumb. I've caught in people with Hidekori's kick so many times that even though they dodged it, the animation still kicked them, which is it's a small niche. It's not a big problem, but it's just a gripe. The only thing I do think is a big problem is the ability to backstep like her mix up. Remove that. I don't know what they have to do. Just don't make the mix up so powerful it's just not fun to play against. But also at the same time, just fix that because I don't know, put more negative block on the person who is I don't know, getting into the chain of Hidekori, but or I don't know what they have to do with it, but the backstep lighting is a little annoying, especially against good opponents. They'll just backstep light you, and then they'll unlock and back up a bit and then relock back on. And the Hidekori then has to make that range again. I would like to see her forward dodge heavy faster, reduce damage, but chain, because as of currently right now, there's no real reason to throw that move. I barely ever throw that move. I only throw that move when I know it's going to land. And those are very specific situations, but other than that, I never use that move. I would like to see her zone as well chain. Now, I'm not trying to make her another Warden, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of just characters setting back to neutral. It's just not fun. Then we got Fat Boy. Good old Fat Boy Shigoki. I can't really say much about Shigoki, except for his recoveries are stupid. Buff them. There's... I don't... That's all I gotta say about this character. It's just... Why? Demon's Embrace, his lights, his heavies, his zone. Why are they so long in the recovery factor? And his guard break is really... It's a death sentence. You guard break someone and follow through with that animation, and then there's an enemy team by you, your super armor activates, you're dead. You're not surviving that, and I just don't agree with that. That is, just give the man, I don't know, a GB off a heavy, or just allow him to just Demon's Embrace out of a GB, something, because as of right now, he's got nothing, dude. Like, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, Shigoki's really, really powerful. Yes, he is. If he option selects you with his lights and his zone, and I guess every now and then tossing a heavy out when you don't think he's going to toss it out. But I'd rather pick JJ over this character. JJ does his job 1,000 times better. I don't know. I just think that Shigoki isn't as threatening as people make him out to be, but I can see where people are annoyed with him, especially with his lights. I guess maybe if they really want to adjust Shigoki, remove the hyper armor from his lights, keep it on his heavies, and I don't know. I just think that right now he's not as good as he was in Season 1. And we all know Season 1 Shigoki. We're talking about Demon Ball, you fall to the ground, free GB, one shot, Demon's Embrace, what, 60 damage on an unblockable heavy? It was crazy. It was crazy, but he's nowhere near what his prime used to be. And if anything, I think he's the weaker self of what he used to be. But that's all I have to say about Shigoki. Nabushi, rework. Just like Shinobi, rework. Rework. That's all I gotta say. This character just doesn't do her job. I wouldn't pick her over Shaman or Berserker. She's just, and okay, since she's a hybrid, I wouldn't pick her over LB. I wouldn't pick her. Let's see who else another hybrid over here. Hell, I'd rather play Shaolin than her. She's just, I'd rather play Valkyrie than her. She doesn't got it, man. She's lost it. She used to be, the queen. When we saw her in the game, we're like, queen. Now we don't say that anymore. I don't know, rework. Give her a new identity. Make her fun to play against. Bring back her glory, because she lost all of it. Aramusha is another character I think it needs to be reworked. I just don't like his damage. I think his All Guard is really good. His Ring the Bell is good, but everything else out of his All Guard there's no reason to throw it. The only gripe I have with this character is his damage, his zone, and Rocksteady. Remove it from this character. There's no reason for this character to have Rocksteady. There's absolutely no reason for this character to have Rocksteady. It's a dumb feat. And that goes for Shigoki too. I understand why Shigoki would have it. I don't understand why he has it. That makes no sense. Shigoki makes sense. That's a big fucking dude. That's a really big fucking dude. That's a skinny ass fucking samurai. There's no reason for him to have that. Like, I'd understand if like this dude had Rocksteady. Well, obviously, I'm joking. I'm not meaning I want him to have Rocksteady. It's a joke. But, or hell, even this big ass dude have Rocksteady. But it makes absolutely no sense for this character to have Rocksteady. Especially the amount of damage he does. It's just, Shigoki doesn't even do half the fucking damage that Aramusha does. Like, if I wanted to play Shigoki, I'd rather play Aramusha. Because I can survive a lot longer with Aramusha than I can with Shigoki. Because Aramusha does Shigoki's job with Rocksteady a lot more than Shigoki can use Rocksteady. I mean, I just don't think this character deserves it. But I would like to see a rework, because currently right now, he's just a glorified Berserker without hyper armor. He has an infinite chain, and it's just, it's just eh. I mean, you can deal with it. You block until you see the light. It's all faint. Other than that, I mean, he's got, kick out of all guard, which confirms a side heavy on wall splat. He's got a ring the bell that's good. He's got a zone that's good, and he's got his damage that's good. And his all guard out of feint that's good. But other than that, he can be externally blocked. That's all I want to tell you. He's not very hard to deal with. He's annoying, but he's not god tier. Especially as they nerf his options like heavies. Tiandi. I'd like to see his dodge light and his dodge heavy. No, my bad. His dodge heavy to get a little bit more iframes, speed it up. Because right now, it's a really long telegraphed animation. And most of the time, if I see Tiani just dragon dodging all over the place, I just guard break him. Or I zone him, or I do a side light. Because half the time he'll just eat it. This character suffers, I guess, from undodgeable attacks. Like, he really gets punished for it. But also, I like to see his bash sped up. His bash is kind of slow, super telegraphed. It does this whole, like that before he actually bashes you. It's super, super telegraphed. I like to see more options out of his bash. Like, instead of just throwing a light, maybe let him throw a heavy, too. But don't give the heavies hyper armor, for love of God. We don't need any more hyper armor in this game. But, yeah, throw a heavy. Or if I would also like to see the forward dodge be sped up and do more damage. I think currently right now does like 20 damage. It's not that harsh, and so does his dragon dodge. I think it does 25. It's not too bad, but it's just out of all the work I have to do to land it, it's just not worth it. Especially when I'd rather play JJ, who is his dodge attack can become a 50-50. So I mean, it's a little bit better. Um, but I would like to see Tiani's bash fixed, a little sped up, more options out of his bash. I would like to see his kick be actually scary because half the time I just kick people to get my stamina back. I don't kick people for anything else. I just kick them to get my stamina back and I back off. And if I'm in a team fight near Yorm or Highlander or something, I'll kick a teammate or I'll kick an enemy towards my teammate so he can just get some damage. But other than that, that's all I used to kick for. Nusha, either you give her a complete rework or you make her traps self-feintable and make her deflex actually land. Because the fact that this is the only character that can deflect somebody and you can block it is really stupid. It is absolutely stupid. I mean, yes, the deflect does 40 damage, but you can block it. And most Nushas don't change the directions. I'll change my direction because it does land if I change my direction. But if someone is like just picking up Nusha and they try to deflect and they just press R1, she'll default to the top. And I've seen people parry that. It's really dumb. But it's just her zone also is really dumb. It's super slow, super telegraphed, has no reason to really use it. I mean, either give the zone hyper armor so that she can tank a hit and hit someone with the zone, or make the zone faster so she has an option select and make it 2 parts. Like the first part, make her like, I don't know, quickly do like a 15 or 20 damaging zone and then chain into the trap animation, so that she can, she can do something with it, man, because like her zone sucks. Only thing she has going for her is lights. And when the trap lands in a gank, that's about it. But that's if the person has half a brain. Her feats are also really stupid. They don't make sense. They don't work. She has like Thread of Life or whatever it is, where it stops people from rolling and locking, but at the same time, like blocking is also very powerful. So there's no reason for someone to be scared of Anusha. Caltraps are okay. I use Caltraps for just throwing down on B and farming B, but that's it. Or throwing Caltraps to get people away from me. Her feats just, they're not good. They're just really bad. Zanhao. All I would like to say about Zanhao is I'd like to see his unblockables have some pressure. I'd like to see his dodge attacks actually have dodge frames. Even if that means they have to speed him up. So if they have to be like 600 MS, but he gets dodge frames, I'm happy with that. But as of currently right now, he has like I think it's 400 MS as a dodge, but they're blockable, they're reactable. They do 14 damage, so if I get smacked by them, I'm not scared of them. It's 14 damage. That's a light. I'm not batting an eye about 14 damage. His zone is good. His right unblockable heavy is good. That's it. His deflex don't guarantee anything. His heavy deflex don't guarantee anything. His forward dodge heavy, super telegraphed. The only thing that isn't telegraphed is his lights and his forward dodge light. And his side dodge lights, I would say. Because I get hit by those a lot, but anything he throws unblockable, I'm parrying that. If the Zanhao is obviously not like a really good Zanhao. But I don't know. I just think that I like him to be limitless. I like him to flow better. There's certain chains that he just can't flow out of. Like, after he throws an unblockable, I would like to see him get what Orochi has. Like, after he does an unblockable finisher, he can chain back into a dodge attack. Or chain back into a forward dodge light or a zone. Give him that limitless feel. Because right now he doesn't feel if anything, he feels limited more than he feels limitless. Limitless, yeah. JJ. Only thing I have about JJ is buff his offense. And I don't mean light speed damage. I mean make his forward dodge heavy into kick actually a mix-up. I would like to see that be utilized as a really good mix-up because right now that forward dodge kick is... I'll fall for it every now and then. But I'll catch myself option selecting him a lot because the animation is super telegraphed. It's not hard to deal with. I also catch myself parrying JJ's a lot because they only have a light heavy chain and a heavy chain or a heavy light chain. And then Sifu's poise got nerfed, so I mean I guard break you when I see you do it. Especially when like JJ's out of stamina. I know you're going for Sifu's poise. I'm going to come for you. I said the only thing this character's fantastic in Forest. But in 1v1s and 2v2s, oh my bad, in 1v1s, he doesn't have it, man. He just, unless you just don't know how to react to his lights or his heavies, he'll butcher you. But I play against a guy named Mike who's a rep 70 JJ, and I can beat his JJ, I'd say 50% of the time. But he's good with JJ though. That's the difference. But a normal JJ, this is just the forward dodge. Because I even with his JJ, I'll punish his forward dodge heavy. It's not hard to punish. That's the only thing I have to say about him. It's just make his forward dodge heavy kick actually scary. As of right now, it's not scary. And then finally we have Shaolin. Only thing I want for Shaolin, the only thing, because I don't think his damage is busted. I don't think his kit is bad. The only thing I think is this character gets shut down by the simplest thing in the game that's also the most overpowered thing in the game. Blocking. This character can be blocked 100% of the time. Well, okay, I might have stressed that. I'd say 80% of the time. You block top, react to size, this Shaolin's not going to touch you. He can't get into key stance. If he backsteps lights, you back dodge. He can't catch you. Only thing that can catch you is his forward dodge heavy and his side dodge heavy. Out of key stance. Those are the only moves that are going to catch you out of key stance. Everything else has such short range, and if it's in a team fight and you throw out one of those key stance moves, well, guess what? Now you're getting fucked because, I mean, he puts himself in such a bad position using key stance in a team fight. He's supposed to be this character that can be like a hybrid. It's supposed to be like what I think they were going for was like a Vanguard / assassin. I don't know what they were going for with him, but he's so easy to deal with. Even externally, he has to hard feint his unblockables, so most of the time I'll option select him and he can't get a GB off of me. It's sad because I like this character's aesthetics. I mean, I absolutely love this character's aesthetics. I'd rather pick Shaman and Berserker over him. But now we're going to go to feats, because we all know where I'm going to go with this. First off, we're going to talk about Blackfriar. This feat right here, like I said before, make it just do half shield depletion. Don't remove all shields. Remove half the shields, because right now, that move in 4v4s makes it completely pointless to stall and get revenge. Because then once you get the revenge, Oathbreaker gets popped, and now the whole team's wailing on you because they don't have to care about the shield no more. Umbral Shelter, reduce its like the amount of times it refreshes the shields, because I have saved a lot of teammates using Umbral Shelter, and I have been screwed over because of Umbral Shelter when I was fighting somebody. So I mean, I don't really have a problem with these two because these put the character in a very vulnerable state. So it doesn't really, these two feats don't bother me. It's these two feats that bother me, especially in 4s. Centurion. This is the only feat I have a gripe with. Pugio. If new rework Centurion comes out, no more confirming pins with Pugio or cutscenes with Pugio. I know everyone's like, oh, but my Pugio! You got a really fast projectile that guarantees a cutscene, which then ultimately guarantees death. No. Either make it a projectile that does damage, I don't care if it stuns you, or it fucking wall splats you. It just don't guarantee a full cutscene out of it. Warden. I'm gonna say Warden. This feat right here, Thick Blood, remove it. It has no place in this game. He's the only character that has it. I think. I don't remember if there's any other character that might have this feat, if I remember correctly. Do you have this feat? I know there's another character with Thick Blood, but I can't put my finger on it. Yeah, it's Nusha. Okay. Remove that feat. It's pointless. It makes characters like Shinobi's deflect, Valkyrie's deflect, Nabushi, Shaman. They're pointless to play when you have that feat. But obviously, you got one character that's really, really good, and you got the other character that you're going to see with it that's really, really bad. But other than that, it's still a dumb feat. Just remove it. It has no place. Another feat that I think is really dumb, that I think it's just her and Tiandi have, is Last Laugh. No one should be rewarded for dying. If you die, you need to take your L. This feat, Lily promotes, like, suicide on teammates. Like, the amount of time I've seen PKs and Tiani's just bolt into the enemy team just to die with this thing, it's really dumb. It's like Marty Dom in fucking Call of Duty, and no one likes Marty Dom. No one likes dying because you killed somebody. Let's just say I'm in a team fight, right? And we kill a PK, but then an enemy team comes and knocks me out of my execution. Now Last Lap pops. Now everyone's dead. It's not fun. It's not a fun feat to deal with. It's a suicide vest that guarantees so much damage, and most of the time it kills whoever it hits. Remove it. It's a dumb feat. Let's see what else we got here. Do we got anything for Glad? No. Conk? No. Oh shit, my bad. Oh yeah, Vikings. You already know what feat I'm going for. Fire Flask. Something's got to be done about Fire Flask. They nerfed Catapult, but Fire Flask and Spear Storm are just so good. Especially if you put Fury in Fire Flask. Like, I don't understand why. Like, I run Tough as Nails, I just like extra health. But if I wanted to be a grade A cunt, I'd use Fury and Fire Flask. But Fire Flask needs something done with it. It's just too good. It does its job really, really, really well. You can wipe out teams with it with Fury and Fire Flask. Either make it do the same amount of damage to your teammates, so you can't just chuck it into a team fight, or reduce the amount of burn damage and physical damage it does. Because as of right now, it's too good. It just does everything. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that feat. Let's see what else I got here. Yes, now we're going back to these guys. Rocksteady, remove this feat from the game as well. This feat is so powerful for a tier 2. Absolutely fucking powerful. Now, I don't even get started about Second Wind and Stewart Banner. I think both these feats are stupid too. Especially when you have both of them. I think either increase the amount of health you get from Second Wind, remove the dot so you can't just pop it when you're burning or bleeding, and make it a tier 4, so that you have to choose between a healing feat for your teammates or a healing feat for yourself. I don't think you should be able to have a healing feat for yourself and a healing feat for your teammates. That's too much utility. That's too good. And then on top of that, if you're in a team fight, you can stall for so long because of Rocksteady, and then let's say you get away from them. Go to point B. Start farming point B. Now your health is coming back. It's just... It's the whole package of I'm not going to die. And you're going to be really annoyed that I'm not going to die. It's a dumb mixture. Remove Rocksteady. Now, it doesn't have no place in this game. A lot of characters can't get a lot of damage off of parry punishes to begin with. So the fact that this feat removes, like, if you play Highlander and you go against someone with a Rocksteady, good fucking luck getting any damage off of him. Because the Rocksteady will prevent, like, 50% of that shit from happening. You're not going to fall for it. Like, it's really bad. Like, this feat is just super... It's also completely immune to revenge, which makes revenge even more sometimes pointless. It's just... This feat just doesn't have a place. Make it... here's the thing. The best way to nerf this thing is make it so Rocksteady can't be used on throws, but let it work on parry attempts, and let it work on wall splats. Let it work on revenge pop. Because as of right now, it says you cannot be unbalanced by parries and throws, but it doesn't tell you his revenge doesn't work, Highlander doesn't work, any throwable move doesn't work. It's really bad. It makes Aramusha just absolutely annoying to deal with. Because if I got this big damaging move and you're just throwing stuff out and I'm punishing for it, this feat saves you. It's a crutch. And yes, I use it because in a competitive environment, people aren't going to have the same respect not using a feat just because you don't like a feat. So I'm going to use what's powerful because if everyone else is using it, I'm going to use it too. Because there's no point in putting myself at a disadvantage if you're not going to have the same sentiment as I am. You know, tit for tat. You know what I'm saying? But yes, overall, this character needs a rework and just needs his feats. Like, make him unique. Because right now, this whole setup is really good for feat wise. His kick isn't that great, but goddamn, his feats are great. I would like to say one thing about Orochi. Even though we all know Oroshi's bad, slip through with Fear itself, Kunai confirming zone, and zone confirmed off a deflect. And that's the thing. I have done this. I have popped revenge. I have deflected somebody, and I have confirmed a zone off of it, and then hit it with a kunai, and that is so much damage. And that's not even including Fear itself. I have popped Fear itself, popped revenge, deflected somebody, and absolutely melted them. This type of synergy needs to go, because that is way too much damage for a very simple thing. And people are like, oh, it's not that easy to deflect. I can deflect, I'd say, not 100% of the time. I would say 40% of the time when I'm playing the assassin character, I'm utilizing their defect. Because it's part of their kit, it's part of their identity, and it's really useful in some characters. And Orochi, even though he's this hot garbage, when I get that deflect off, you're feeling it. You are feeling it. And the fact that the deflect can also guarantee zone sometimes, and then the kunai can also confirm a zone, man, that's crazy. That's some serious crazy shit right now. But that's the only gripe I have with that. Yeah. You already know who I'm going for. I love you, baby girl, but nope. Senzu Basakura. This does way too much damage. I've had full health, full shields, and this fucking feat has wrecked my life. I don't agree with a feat, even as slow it is as it is. It should not one-shot. I'm a firm believer that there should not be a single thing in this game that should be able to one-shot somebody. It's kind of ridiculous, the fact that this is in the game. You cannot parry or block it. So in a team fight and they throw that and you can't get away, you're done. Just put your controller down, you're dead. It's just not a very good feat that I think is healthy for this game. Shinobi, do you have anything that's annoying? Not really, from my knowledge. Oh yeah, there we go. Smoke bomb. Smoke bomb is stupid. If I'm on a point and someone comes on that point, and me and him are the only people on that point, and even if my other teammate is right beside me, and you pop smoke bomb, the fact that I'm no longer contesting the point, and that person who, if they have the point, can heal, and I can't lock onto them, and they gain stealth, and I can't block their attacks, depending on if you can block it if you angle your character correctly, but if your character is not angled correctly, you have to out of lock and get away from it, which leaves you extremely vulnerable. And on top of that, if someone pops a feat like a fire flask or a spear storm, arrow, or just comes after you directly, this feat is just stupid. It does too many things for a tier 2. Tier 2 feats should not be more powerful than tier 4 feats. I understand the power level like a fire flask, tier 4 feat. But the fact that you got tier 2 feats in this game that are arguably better than some other characters' tier 4 feats is ridiculous. It just doesn't deserve a place. Either it just it just gives you stealth so you can get away safely, or it just, I don't know. You need to, this feat needs to be looked at. It's really good for a tier 2. I don't think there's anything else that I can really say about, I'd say, Shinobi. I'm just looking right now. Yeah, I really can't say anything else about that. Who else can I be mean to? I'm gonna tell you right now, these feats right here, they don't work. They work in the Chinese breach map. but they don't work in actuality on Dominion or other 4v4 game modes. There's no reason to run these. As you see, I run other things on this because, I mean, and then here's the thing: these two feats, this is all right. This is stupid, but I don't run that. I'm not a cuck. But also, if this is super situational to use, Scorching Deluge, I use it because it's pretty. That's it. I just like the animation and the fire coming from the sky. But yeah, give him better feats. He has terrible feats. His feats are bad. Shaolin. You already know where I'm gonna go with this. You already know. Key Trap. This should be a tier 4. The fact that I can run to spawn, throw this down, and I can see every person's location in the map for a very, very long time, that is really powerful for a tier 1. It's just, nothing's more annoying than having this feat pop up. You spawn in and you get hit with it. You can't dodge it. You can't get out of it. Right as you gain access to your character, boom, you're hit. It's not fun. Give it a cooldown. So like if we spawn in, give us immunity to feats for, I don't know, 3 seconds so we can get out of the spawn point at least. Because a lot of people will throw these on spawn points, especially in Breach and Forest, where you can't escape it. You have to drop from the ledge. So you have to fall into the trap. And the trap's got a pretty generous radius for it too. It's really, really good. I don't run it because I'd rather have stealth, especially with people with projectiles. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Let's see what else I got here. Slippery. Remove this feat. It doesn't work. It does nothing. It doesn't do what it says it does. Get rid of it. Same thing with this feat over here. Hold on. This feat right here. Hold on. Remove this too. Takedown does nothing. And half the time, I can count on one hand how many times this feat's worked. It doesn't work. It never works. At least from what I've used it like 3 times, and it's worked 3 times. Then after that, it never worked again. I don't know. Come up with something else. Let's see what else we got here. Who else can who else can I butcher here? I mean, that's about it in the tier department. Oh, yes, now that we're talking about feats. Consistency. Projectiles need to all have the same consistency for the projectile speed. We got like characters like Shigoki that has like a 500, 600 ms bow shot, but then like you have other characters that have like an 800, 900 ms bow shot. No, those numbers aren't accurate, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what characters shoot slow and what characters are just like blah and just smack you in the face and you didn't even see it coming. Consistency for feats, please. Some projectiles are just too fast. They just don't make no sense, especially in a team fight. When I gotta worry about 3 people at once and then I gotta worry about what feats they have, there's a lot of pressure. Especially when some of these feats are just ridiculous. Especially when we're gonna talk about this big boy right here. This feat heals. This feat gives you a lot of shields. This feat then prevents you from pretty much dying. So that means you can out-heal what is being given to you. And it's pretty ridiculous. And this feat right here happens to be, in my opinion, the most ridiculous projectile in this game. Besides Centurion's Pugio. It stuns you. It wall splats you. Puts you out of stamina. And I think it pauses your stamina too. Deals 25 damage. Why is a projectile feat doing 5 things? I'd understand if it does damage and knocks you out of stamina. Cool. Whatever. The fact it does all of that, and it helps the Jormungandr on wall splat set up for another punish, and if that Jormungandr knows what he's doing, so he can do add a lock light into unblockable and get that max damage, you're looking at 25 plus the 30 for the unblockable plus 50 for the slam. That's 80 plus what is it? 25, so you're looking at what? 105 damage? Again, why do we have this big of a damage output on simple things? And don't tell me that it's not hard, not easy landing that unblockable. My bad. Tell me it's not easy to land the out of lock for him. Because after I learned how to do it, there's a certain way I do it, and I always guarantee it. It's ridiculous how good it is. And the fact that he can do that, and especially when near a wall, you get more damage. Is oh my god, like he got to cut me some slack here. Like that's a lot of damage. That's a meme. That's a lot of damage. But yeah. Let's see. What do you got, Kensei? Yeah, this feat as well. Steadfast. This feat doesn't work either. This feat does nothing. This feat you will be GB'd no matter what you do. I don't know why it's still in the game, but it's really dumb that it's in the game. But okay, that's all I have to say about feats. Now, just a brief statement. I love this game. I really do. But I do feel like the player base is so divisive. We have PC people and console people, and then within those two selected groups, we have different levels of players, and all of them have extreme opinions. Obviously, I listen to the higher level people, which is where I'm at, where I'm a little bit higher. Because I have done competitive stuff for about 3 years, and I was in a lot of 4v4 tournaments, and I did a few ones. I got bored of ones. I never was a fan of ones because they're really mundane, they're boring, and they're super polarized. It's not fun to try and figure out what you can do, because if you don't pick like LB, Conk, Zerk, Warden, Lawbringer, BP, that's all you're gonna see in ones is those characters. Hell, even Itakori's up there too, but you're not gonna see a lot, man. But it's crazy. It really is. But yeah, we need to start getting our stuff together, man, because we all have our different opinions. I have people that literally tell me that Centurion's OP, PK's OP, that Shigoki is OP, Shaolin is OP, Zanhao is OP, Shinobi is OP, Oroshi's OP. Like, I have people who tell me that, and I look at them like they're crazy, because these characters can be shut down so easily, and they don't really have utensils to deal with a lot of stuff. I mean, Shaolin is an exception, and so is Shigoki. They have stuff to deal with situations, but what they have isn't good enough. Shaolin can be fixed with a simple buff. Allow him to have enhanced lights on his top light. Shigoki can be fixed simply by just fixing his recoveries. Orochi, Shinobi, Nusha, Centurion, PK. That's a whole different story. You got a lot of stuff you got to do for these characters to make them really good, or at least for me to worry about what I want to pick. Because when I think of an assassin, the only assassins I'm thinking of using are Shaman and Berserker. The same thing for hybrids. I'm always going to pick a Lawbringer over all these hybrids in this game. Heavies, the heavy options are actually pretty good. I can pick JJ, I can pick Hitakori, I can pick Blackfriar. You know, and if I want to go in the ones, I would love that. It just characters pretty much has an unreactable offense if you know how to use it correctly. BP the same way, if you know how to use them correctly. Conqueror, I wouldn't pick Conqueror over these two characters. I'd rather pick these characters that have more utility. They have more things in their kit that I can utilize effectively. Whereas Conqueror, I'm just going to sit there and wait for my opponent to be wrong. And not necessarily do a lot of damage. Same thing for Vanguards. I'd pick Kensei over Warden and Raider. And I'd pick Kensei. Actually, I'd pick Tiandi or Kensei. Because they got utensils that I feel like are effective for me. I got a feat that I can put on somebody that can help my team out. I got Tireless. And then I got other feats to allow me to stall for a very long time. Same thing with Kensei. I got Body Count for that mid lane. I got Smoke Grenade for points. And I got Healing. And I got my Unblockable feats just in case someone's turtling. So, I mean, but I'd pick Raider just for the ganking aspect and his Fire Flask. Warden, I wouldn't really pick Warden in fours. I have picked Warden in fours, but he gets punished pretty hard in fours. His bash can only be locked onto one person, so he's only effective for himself. He's not effective for his team. His morale booster is good, but that's the only feat that he's going to do that's going to help the whole team. His Inspire is also good, but I mean, the amount of times I popped Inspire and had my teammates stay near me is few and far between. I mean, we got to start leveling with each other. We got to start telling people that these characters are bad or these characters are good. We can't sit here and keep having divisive opinions. The top competitive players know what characters are bad and what characters are good. We do know what ones are good. And the fact of the matter is you got to listen to us. You may not listen to me. I mean, I'm just a Smoke Joe, but I'm just trying to help the clarity here. You got to listen to those people over there that are live streaming, putting those tournaments up, and putting the work in. I used to do that, but I got out of it because For Honor's not a competitive game in my sense. It's never been competitive. It has too many problems for it to be a competitive game, and I don't see this game ever getting a spotlight in a huge fighting game tournament like how Mortal Kombat and Tekken and Street Fighter get, because this game has too many inconsistencies, problems, balancing problems, feat problems, perk problems. It's got too many problems for it to be a game that people will reliably enjoy, especially in the 1v1 department. The 1v1s are so boring. I mean, I can 1v1 my heart out, but it's so boring, and all I'm really doing is waiting for one mistake, and then I feed off that mistake. Sometimes there's no coming back. The health pools in this game don't give you a chance to come back. I can't tell you how many times in the 4v4 game I've died to a guy twice. Then I realized how I was playing, and then I adapted to it because I don't have enough health and stamina to adjust to my opponent fast enough. And I know a lot of people are like, whoa, get good. Get better, scrub. Oh, you suck. And if we were fighting a regular fighting game like Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, I have all the time in the world to figure out how you're playing, and I can then adapt to it in a faster sense than I can in For Honor. In For Honor, one parry for some of these characters, 1/3 of my health bar is gone. And then some of these characters can then apply a lot of pressure out of that, and now I'm left with maybe 20 HP left over. And it's like, then I'm back into my turtle sense. Because I want a turtle now because I don't have the health to work around and eat some damage. There's a lot of problems with that. Because the lower the health pool, this feels more like a Call of Duty game than it does a fighting game. Because in Call of Duty, you pick the best guns because it kills the fastest, and they're the best guns. The same thing with For Honor. You only pick the best characters because they kill the fastest, or they're the better at their job than any other character in the game. And that's not fun. Because I'm thinking of more, this game was going to be more like Siege, where every character abides by the same fundamentals, but each characters have their very unique interactions that you have to learn, and then you have the gameplay mechanics, which are the fundamentals of the maps, the movement, aim, what attachments are good, but all those characters abide by the same rules. Where in For Honor, a majority of these characters do not abide by the simple rules of the game. All of them abide by blocking or parrying or some option selects. But there's a lot of characters who just don't abide by simple things like an option select that's viable. People say option select, but if you play in a character like Nusha or Highlander, or let's see, who else has a terrible zone in this game? Centurion. You can't option select with those characters. Now you have to actually guess everything that's being thrown out. And then you got characters that have like a mini vortex, like Warden. If he hits you if he gets into that shoulder bash kind of routine, and he starts mixing it up really good, he applies so much pressure. But then when you look at other characters that have very good bashes, but not as good as Wardens, like Conqueror and Black Prior, and hell, even Highlander on very specific matchups, you can end up dealing with these characters way more effectively than you can deal with a Warden who is getting you in that tunnel vision of just focusing on the shoulder bash because it's that good. And it's crazy. And then you got characters that have option selects, and then option selects are supposed to be able to be baited and punished, but then you got Black Prior and Gladiator just disregarding that rule entirely. It doesn't make sense to me. And their option selects are arguably super safe Because if I don't land my option select, all I have to do is if I see you go attack me, I throw a light, and if you don't do anything, I go back to neutral. There's no risk for me. It's stupid. Then you got characters like Valkyrie, who have such an egregiously long second portion of her zone that changes to her bash that is so telegraphed that I don't throw that out. I throw it out against bad people, but I will never throw this out against good people. But then you got people with really good zones that can chain back into their like they have pressure from their zones. They don't just zone and stop. Like she can zone and keep going. He can zone and keep going. Black Prior can zone and keep going. Gladiator can't. That's one of his flaws. Lawbringer can zone and keep going, but you got characters like Conqueror zones, and he goes back to neutral. You got PK who zones and can just soft feint it. Centurion can't even stop it. His zone, you can't even option select with Raider zone, because it's too fucking slow. You got Berserker who can zone and then can chain back in. You got Highlander that zones and then does nothing. Say Jormungandr's zone can then chain back into an attack or an unblockable or hell even a bash. Kensei zone can be soft, can be feinted, but it goes back to neutral. Same thing with the Roshi. Same thing with Shinobi. He can't even feint the other half of his zone. He doesn't even have another half of his zone. He's got a pretty good zone, but again, back to neutral. It's like, see what I'm saying? See what I'm getting at here? Allowing characters to abide by the same rules, but also function almost the same, but have very unique gimmicks, like Highlander's offensive stance, or his bash for stamina, or Berserker's hyper armor, Valkyrie's bash, Shaman's bite, Shigoki's demon's embrace. Those are unique gimmicks, but there are so many characters that have way more utility out of the things that are fundamentally good that other characters don't even have a chance at. Because why would I pick a character that can zone and go back to neutral like Warlord and do nothing? Why would I not pick Black Prior? Why would I not pick Warden? Why would I not pick Lawbringer? And his zone changes depending on if you parry or not. The same thing with JJ. It depends if you parry an attack or not. And JJ has 2 zones. See what I'm saying here? And you got other characters that are just gnarly. Like Aramusha's Infinite Chain, he can go for days. But if I play Berserker, I'll run out of stamina really quick. If I play Lawbringer, I'll run out of stamina really quick. If I play Centurion and get parried as a defensive move, I lose so much stamina. But when I get heavy parried by Raider, I don't lose that much stamina. See what I'm getting at here? So many characters just disregard other fundamentals that other characters kind of flat out have to abide by, and it's kind of ridiculous. Because we all can parry a light and get a free heavy. We all can parry a heavy and get a light. We all can get a bash that confirms a follow-up. We all can option select except for 2 characters on the roster, which is Nusha and Centurion. I would say Highlander can option select, but it's not good. But I don't know, man. This character has so many design flaws. And then you got some characters over here doing like upwards to 40 damage on a bash. Then you got this character who was nerfed because he had too much damage on his heavies, but then why is he not adjusted? Then you got Highlander, who can pretty much 3-shot every character in the cast, except for a few exceptions like Lawbringer or Shug or Conqueror. And then you got characters that have nothing going for them but damage and good looks. Then you got some characters that are literally Warden 2.0 and has a one-shot feat. And then you got the Wulin, who the only really good viable characters in the Wulin is this character, JJ. Tiandi's alright, but Nusha, Zanhao, and Shaolin can be fixed with a simple patch. I'm telling you that now. But Nusha and Zanhao and Tiandi, they need some looking at. It's sad to see that there's only one competitive viable option out of the Wulin, which is JJ. And then for the Samurai, you only got Hidekori and Kensei. And then Out of the Vikings, you have Highlander if they're good, Berserker, and Shaman. And then out of the Knights, you have BP, Warden, Conk, Lawbringer, and Gladiator if you're good enough. It's just crazy. This is just a lot of things this game needs. This game needs a lot of TLDR, tender love and care. And I probably said that wrong, but it's crazy, man. I just the punishes need to be addressed. The damage output needs to be addressed. Functionality and fundamentals need to be addressed. Feats need to be addressed. Perks need to be addressed. And then on top of that, we have maps. I think there's what? How many competitive viable maps do we have on this game? If I remember correctly. How many? We have Citadel Gate. We have Overwatch. Sanctuary Bridge. Shard. Temple Garden. That's about it that I can remember that I played on in a competitive map. But, I mean, hell, even the 1v1 map. Where is it at? This map right here. This map is stupid. It is so small that if you got a character like Lawbringer or Gladiator or someone who can like punish somebody off of a wall, holy shit, man, this map is stupid. There's no reason to play on this map and have fun, because if you got a character that can punish you pretty hard near a wall, or just in general, this map, they just shine so hard. Lawbringer shines in this map, which is, I guess, the reason why a lot of people highlighted Lawbringer, besides, it obviously, his glaring issues. But this map sucks. And then we got stuff like the story mode never ever being touched since it's been released. You got characters in story mode that still run the same way they did in Season 1. So you can go boot it up and play Old Warden that was stupid. You can go play Shigoki who was broken. You can play Warlord that was stupid. You can play PK that was borderline dumb. You could play who else was stupid in this game? You could play Old Lawbringer in here, but you didn't have all those chains. Like, I mean, and then you got Arcade. That is just eh. It's eh. The rewards aren't worth the time sometimes. And then you got the problems such as the game modes. You got 4v4 is always populated, Breach are always populated, but duels and the special event game modes, depending if it's a good game mode, like duels, they're always low or activity. This one says medium, but that's a rare sight for me at least. But these two game modes that are supposed to be like, especially ranked, I never play ranked because I know how it's going to go down. I can play ranked. Do I enjoy ranked? No. Can I play it? Yes. But why would I sit there and go for this, as it clearly advertises, chance for extra loot? Well, it doesn't tell you got to play like 20, 30 games before you get something, that, and it might not even be what you want, like a color wheel or an embossing or I don't know, a spray on for your armor. And when most people go into this mode for the ornaments, and then we put ourselves through hell just to get an ornament, and it's not worth the risk. There's so many ornaments in this game that are so great that you can grab that, you know, but you got to put so much fucking work into it, and it's not fun. It's not rewarding to play ranked. It'd be different if I was playing ranked in 6 Siege or Overwatch. That's rewarding, but in this game, there's why would I go put myself through such a high level of irritation and annoyance to get a headpiece? Why not just go to 1s if it's populated, or I go to 4s and have a blast? I don't know, but this is my overall opinion about the game. Obviously, everyone's gonna have their own opinions, but I guess you guys can let me hear yours. But this game, I love this game. I want this game to succeed. But on console, right now. This game is just the fact that the devs worry more about PC and they just don't give a crap about console is what's going to kill this game. Because games like Overwatch, Six Siege, they realize that their console player base is also important and they address it. Where this game, they just it's over their head. They don't care. They don't try to fix the game because of its console. Because I remember the days of Six Siege, it was 30 FPS peer to peer, and then it got changed to 60 FPS. I think it's 720p, 1080p. I don't know what it is. It was a lower graphical version, and they got dedicated servers along with lag compensation. Overwatch really has a system in place to prevent lag, and on top of that, it's 60 FPS, and it's got dedicated servers just like Six Siege does. How come other games can do all this, but this game cannot? And I know people can be like, oh, it's a small indie dev team. Look at Warframe. Warframe was a small indie dev team, and look how they fixed their game. I don't want to hear an excuse that this is a small indie dev team and they can't do it. Because other games said they couldn't do it, and they did it. Because they realized if they want to make that money and keep that player base engaged, they got to do it. And they gotta crack some knuckles real quick and go get it done. This game is not going to survive past this season, and I'll be surprised if this game does survive after the next two characters get released, which are going to be Wulin, which I'm assuming because it'd be pointless to put an extra character in the other three factions and not putting nothing into Wulin. It's going to be two Wulin characters. I already know it's going to be because it'll balance it out. It'll be 7-7-7-7. But those are my opinions. I'm just one man. Let me hear yours. You guys have a good day. I know this video is a little long, but I had to say it. It's been a long time, a very, very long time, and a lot of hours, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of competitions I've been in, and I'm fed up. If this game reminds me of Destiny, I had the same passion for Destiny a long time ago. Probably made the same type of video for Destiny a long time ago when I was like 19. I'm 26 now. This game needs a lot of love. It really does. And if the devs don't get their head out their ass, this game is not going to make it. It's a great concept, but at this rate, I'd rather someone sell this IP to someone else who cares enough to fix the game and make the game enjoyable. But that's it. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.